Well, hello. I'm Roderick. I feel beautiful. However that may be. I don't know where they are.
Color? What color would you choose? How do you feel?
What color would I choose? Mine would have to be iridescent.
What?
Iridescent.
Define that for those that don't know.
He said it right, error. He's an error.
You know, and this,
You mean fluorescent?
no, I mean iridescent.
Okay.
It changes with the moods.
Oh, like a chameleon.
Like a moonstone.
Yeah, okay.
So, and I say that because, you know, when you have haters and lovers, you never know how it's going to come out.
Long as it's clean when it come out.
And I'm JB, and I'm doing great today. I think my color would be aqua.
Aqua?
Yeah, which is a kind of like that mixture between blue and white. Yeah.
Okay, and young man?
I'm Kai. Really good. My color would be Yusha.
Okay. And your majesty?
Good morning, everybody. You all see my footprint and routine. I think we'll give it what our favorite color.
How you
We
feel?
know what
in your
how you
color.
feel in your color.
Oh, I feel great. Super good. My
And
color.
let me tell them what your color is. Can I tell them?
Yeah, tell them.
And you tell them if I'm right.
Okay.
Mama bet purple.
That's my mama.
That's my daughter's favorite color, and she's been deceased 12 years, so sometimes I really just go and do stuff because it's purple. Just like this purse here, make all this noise when I open it. And got so many compartments in here, I can't keep up with anything. But my other color is my own personal color is purple. I mean teal.
Okay. Well, you know, we're saying purple is a royal color. You know, when your pastors wear purple in church, that's a very special time. Oh, Larry, I'm sorry, Larry, you back here.
What's your name?
All right.
Red.
All right, and then what's your favorite?
What's your favorite color?
You
You
have
have
a
a
color?
Yes.
Okay, we'll hold you to that. Next time you have your color now. Okay? Well, guys, you know, this is really a special month, and I love this month of January because it's all about new beginnings. It's about starting over, looking at what you left behind you, and saying goodbye. I don't want to see you again. Stay there. But you step into a new year with a lot of promise a lot of times. You know, resolutions, you know. I promise to do this, and I want to do that, and everything. But by June, we forget what those promises are to ourselves, right? A lot of times. So a lot of times we don't realize that the way to success is through ourselves. Now listen about it. The way to success is through ourselves. It's not through a job. It's not through somebody telling you, you won this award or something like that. It's if you feel successful, then that's what success is. You define success for yourself. Nobody else's definition can mean anything to you about success because you don't experience what they experience. Does that make sense? Yeah. So success is how you look at it and what you're what you want to accomplish. This is self-esteem month. And the first thing you got to think about doing self-esteem is, how do I feel about myself? Do I like myself? You know, do I see things about me that I need to change? This ain't based on criticism from other people. It's you looking at you. You identifying your shortcomings based on what you are trying to accomplish in your life. Somebody can walk up and say, you know what? You ain't gonna ever be nothing. That's them. Now you know yourself better, right? And well, how do you handle something like that? You say, you know what? I may not be anything to you, but yes, I am somebody. And that's how that phrase came about. Jesse Jackson in 1981 was having an experience. And somebody told him, you ain't gonna never be nothing. You ain't gonna never be anything. He said, but I am somebody. I am somebody. And I'm important to me. So as long as you walk around with those credentials, and you know who you are and whose you are, you have no problem dealing with the rest of the world. It's when you allow the world to supersede and take charge of who you are, is when you have problems. That's when depression kicks in, that's when anxiety kicks in, because now you're trying to meet somebody else's expectations. You're trying to satisfy somebody else's understanding of what you are when you know yourself better. Go ahead, Jimmy.
You know what just saying that is so true, but then again, it makes you wonder, well, what is our part in the work? So it's not just to be, while we're working on self-esteem, I'm thinking about the balance of it. It's like, you know, not allowing people to put you in a box when you're living your life through someone, but then you have to come out into the world to live with everybody else too. So I think on one extreme, well, that's the whole thing, not to be in an extreme where we're so much into ourselves that we're not really functional. You know, there's a scripture in the Bible that says, don't be so heavenly minded, there were no earthly good, you know. And sometimes when the church people become like that, and I think that's the reason why that scripture was in there, is because once they become a saint, or once they've accepted God and their life is on the right path, then they look down on everybody. They don't really do things they really need to do as far as in love and sharing and what have you. So I'm thinking about the balance.
Well, you know, and then we always get criticism. Some of it's constructive, some of it's destructive. And you got to know the difference between constructive criticism and destructive criticism. You know, some of us go to church and everything our pastors say is the law. And you don't go to church to, I mean, seriously, you laugh, but that's true. Some of us will go to church and my pastor said, but they never think for themselves. When you go to church, it's for you to think for yourself. All they do is give you the information. They give you the source. And you're supposed to apply that to your life. It ain't accept and don't listen to nothing else. Go ahead, sir.
I'm laughing because I remember when I was younger, Flip Wilson had this show. He said, "The devil made me do it. The devil made me do it." And a lot of people, because of their actions, they don't believe that God just gave us free will. But I was talking to some friends, and I'm like, it seemed like this year I'm attracting those that are so in need. You got to hear my voice. You got to have a text from me every 5 minutes. I'm like, right now, the main concern is me. I got stuff I'm working on, and I'm the only one putting money in my pocket. So I don't call my mother every day. I don't touch her every day. So you got to stand in line like everybody else on Facebook, and that's how I'm feeling. But they're getting their feelings about how I guess I'm getting more back to I got to take care of me first before I try to help anybody else. Because when I start trying to help people, and then I see you trying to work me and take advantage of me, then I'm looking like boo-boo the fool at the end. And you know that's why I changed my major from social work, and I'd rather just deal with computers because they ain't got an answer.
And you know what? And they may not be even trying to take advantage of you. It's just you don't know how to get out of that loop of saying no.
That's right.
They may not even be trying to take, but you got into a loop, and now you don't know how to get out of it.
You know, I heard him say Facebook, and you know what? Even, in other words, we have to truly learn to live on purpose. In other words, if there's a purpose, even if it's for entertainment, you go on Facebook, or if you got jobs, or you communicate with somebody on some specific. Other than that, everybody's posting something that somebody else can post it to them, and it didn't trickle for thousands of views. And you don't necessarily have to like or say whatever to it. We choose. So I know exactly what you're saying. You go to your Facebook and you see you got 20 messages.
Or 20 posts from the same person.
Exactly. From the same person. And it's like, you know, I remember when I first shared Facebook with somebody, set them up with their phone and everything. And I told them, I said, send out maybe 2 or 3 posts at one time, like within an hour or so, you know. I said, more than that, I said it will actually make people feel like ignoring you. They didn't listen. I was saying about 5 minutes, or 10 minutes, they would send out maybe 10 Facebook messages in 10 minutes. You see what I'm saying? So if you're interested at all, you're going to try to glean and see if anything's interested, or you won't answer any of them. You see what I'm saying?
But the question comes to me, and help me out, y'all, if I'm wrong. The question comes to me is, what grown person's got time to sit down on Facebook and do all that? If they're doing their own thing. I mean, if you're taking care of you, what are you doing in your life that you got so much free time that you can sit down and gossip and chat and blog with all this other stuff going on out here?
It's the next television.
I mean, what's going on? Every time I look at my phone, I'm gonna work this out, but I'm gonna get it off. I got on one email today, on one of my email accounts, I got 35 Facebook messages. And it's only because I hit the wrong button when I set up something on the computer. It said, you want to communicate with your contacts by Facebook.
You sent the email to
And you hit yes, and then everybody who on Facebook just comes to your phone. And I was like, that's not what I was trying to do. So, but back to what you were saying. Self-esteem is this. Knowing where you are in this whole process of what you're trying to do. You have to be doing something, you know? And when you don't have an active do going on, when I say active do, you're not doing something, then all the other stuff that goes around you can settle right in on you. You follow what I'm saying? Unexpectedly, unconsciously, or whatever, because your gate is open. Your gate is open. And you're saying, come what may, I ain't doing nothing, ain't nothing going on in my life, so just dump on me. And then when you start getting frustrated because you didn't really intend for it to be so intense, but there are a lot of needy people out there. A lot of people who want to be heard. And it's not your job to answer their questions, but see, they don't know that. All they know is you've opened up a gate and said, come on in. Self-esteem is, okay, I'm ready to shut this gate, and I'm not trying to hurt nobody's feelings. I'm not trying to make nobody feel bad, but I got to work on me, like you said, right now. And once you get in that loop, it's hard to get out. Because you don't want to hurt feelings. You don't. But your self-esteem starts going down lower and lower, because you know all that ain't doing nothing. It's not helping you. It's not giving you any direction. It's just making you a little more depressed and anxiety-ridden. That's all it does. I have been reading this book over and over again. It's called, what does it say?
When to speak up. And I ain't got my glasses on.
When to speak up and when to shut up. And we need to know when to speak and when to shut up.
I see that.
You know you ain't gonna get it back. You know you ain't gonna get it back.
Go buy your copy.
No, he will get it back. I just need
No,
it back.
you'll get it back when you buy it. No, but you know, guys, isn't that a tough thing to do sometimes? Know when to shut up and know when to speak. When somebody wants to argue with you, what do?
Shut up.
Okay,
So who it is?
Look at him crazy.
what is an argument? A battle to see who can succeed at getting their point across. A battle to succeed and who can get their point across and make the other one feel less powerful.
Yeah, they do.
That's what an argument is. I know more than you do. You know what I'm trying to say? That it's all about nothing. So when an argument starts, what do?
Shut up.
You just shut up and go about your business.
No,
It's hard. It's hard.
Just look at him.
Most of us are shut up.
We want to make our point.
point.
We want to make our point. We want to know, let this person know, I have just as much control as you do. And you ain't really got no control if you're sitting there arguing.
You really
You
don't.
ain't relinquished it already.
See, it's superficial. Ain't nothing coming out of an argument. A lot of anger and frustration, because ain't nobody getting nowhere.
When you don't retaliate, then you go right back.
You know,
to where
if you
it's
really
at.
want to go see something crazy, go sit in a courtroom while a divorce case is going on. Go sit in a courtroom while a judge is sitting up there looking at two people who love each other. I mean, they've been together 5, maybe 10 years, and now they can't stand each other. You know, and what brings that on? Somebody wants somebody to listen to them, and somebody's not listening. Or somebody wants somebody to do something, and they're not doing it. You see what I'm trying to say?
Control.
And what happens, why is it all that way? Because what happens is communication breaks down when you tell me, oh, the reason I didn't tell you is because I didn't think it would bother you. That's taking somebody's power away. Because you cannot say, I didn't tell you because I thought it would bother you. You give me a chance to make that decision myself. So tell me. And then, so fear kicks in, right?
Always.
I'm not going to change this because I'm not sure what you're going to do if I tell you. But then 5 weeks or 5 days or 5 months later, you finally tell the person. Then arguments start. Why? Because you didn't tell them when it happened back then. Out of fear, out of frustration, out of anxiety. Was that fair to the person?
No.
Was that fair? Or, another case scenario. I'm not in love with, tell all your friends, I'm not in love with her no more. I'm not in love with him no
But
more.
you ain't
You
tell
don't care
her.
the person.
I'm not in love with this person no more. But you ain't told the person. So So everybody else knows this because you are so AH. You're such an AH, and I'll let y'all figure out what AH is.
That's right.
You're such an AH that you don't go to the person that needs to hear what you're talking about, you take it someplace else. So, when you finally tell that person, I don't love you anymore, you're ready to move out the house. They go like, well, I just found this out. Oh, but he knew this all the time. You see what I'm saying? He ready to move out. This person's stifled now. Don't have any time now to make a decision. All they get is the residue of what this person's going to do. You know what I'm saying here? Sometimes we need to speak and say and get things out and out of our system so other people can make judgments about where they are in that whole process. You know what I'm saying here? We hold back stuff sometimes that people need to know, and we end up hurting them more because they didn't have a chance to make a decision about what you're thinking about or what you've already brought in the process.
I think she her hands first.
You have to mean though.
You have to mean?
Yeah, you can't be wishy-washy.
You can't. No. If you don't love somebody and you came to that understanding somewhere down the road, well, the person who's there probably sees that things are changing. They see that you're not acting the same way. They see things aren't happening the way they used to. So really, if they come to you and say, well, what's going on? And you say, nothing.
But if it wasn't happening from the start, then you sure already got
Nothing. But you know something's going on. And they keep asking nothing. And then finally, you get tired of them asking, you say, well, this is what's wrong. I don't love you anymore. But for 5 months, you kept telling this person, nothing, nothing, nothing. Was that a time to shut up?
Well, on that note,
Melanie, what you're saying is that when it comes to truth, truth is very powerful. And the thing about truth is a lot of people can't handle the truth. People don't want to handle it because, I mean, if you just think about it, sometimes if we just sit down and meditate on truth, okay, because truth will cause some people to be put in jail, so they're one invasion. Truth will help people to see who they really are. And sometimes when you stand and you tell somebody what the truth is, it even hurts you. You're individual. And let me tell you something about truth. Truth also, that's what got Jesus on the cross. Truth, because he told those religious people that they were mistreating the folks and all that. They didn't like it. So they killed him. Same thing with John the Baptist. John the Baptist said that it was wrong for this man to have his brother's wife. They didn't like it, so he had John the Baptist's head cut off. And each and everyone in here, I guarantee you, from you're telling the truth or acting in truth, somebody didn't like you.
that's right.
You know, and it goes for. I mean, even like right now, some things we're hearing right now, some of us are kind of squirming in our seat because we're getting close to a truth. Some of us are probably right now in relationships and situations, even in our home, with our finances, or with family members, or whoever is not truthful, and we need to make it right. And we're having an issue right now because somebody's pushing us there. So so truth is very powerful, and again, but it helps us to put things in line. You know, if you ever seen where you have a I don't know if it's rice or marbles or whatever, if you shake it, they all kind of like settle down in the right place. That's what truth will do. You know.
Yeah. And it goes back to what we said. Y'all heard me talk about this 1,000 times. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Because I tell you, there's a relief after telling the truth. There's a lot of relief that comes from after telling the truth. You know, self-esteem. You know, a lot of it's vocabulary. A lot of it's about what comes out your mouth. A lot of it's how you say things. Go ahead, Roger.
This is what I was going to say. If somebody got to keep asking you what, then you already know what.
No, you said, that's assumption, and we don't do assumptions.
Well, you're so right. Well, you're assuming that it's something when you ask me what is.
Yeah. See, you know that.
So when I act on my what is, don't act surprised.
We not.
Well, no. Well, no, I understand what you're saying, but no, see, we're talking about things that can change another person's life. And see, that's what we're talking about. If you have something another person needs to know that's going to change their life circumstances, and situation.
That's important.
You don't hold back on that. You don't hold back. If I don't love you anymore, I need to know that right. The person needs to know it right away.
Yeah, they do.
They need to know right away. See, because they've got to make adjustments in their life, and they got to put themselves in check. How do I feel about him not loving me anymore, or her not loving me anymore? How does that impact me?
But first of all, you got to get that within yourself.
No, but the person has to tell you. See, that's what I'm saying. If you don't have information, you can't make those adjustments in your life.
It's just like marrying someone the night before the wedding, and then they're not telling the spouse that they got another spouse in another state.
Yeah, my cousin.
You know,
Yeah.
your cousin.
That must be a Jamaica thing.
Yeah.
You got two Jamaicans.
No, that was an American thing. He wasn't like that in Jamaica. He can't do
No,
that.
man, we can't do that.
Right. My best.
Well, I think it goes back to being true, and as JB has said, you know, we each are to be true, but when you're being true, you got to be ready to be a sacrifice and carry a cross and bear a burden, because some people don't want the truth, okay? But if we're going to adhere to the truth, we got to be true, and then we got to be timely, we got to show respect, and we got to prefer others over ourselves. And I think about all the things that we do, and then all the things you said in light of how it made somebody else feel, do something or not do something. But were we really caring for the person, respecting them as we respect ourselves? It tells us to prefer others over ourselves. Now, how many people can truly do that, or even love our neighbors as we love ourselves? So if we had that in mind, some of the things that we do, when we say it and how we say it, which really, really affect and hurt other people, I think we wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I agree. And how could your self-esteem be up here if you're not being honest?
Stepping all over.
If you're not being honest, how could you have high self-esteem?
I got a question. Is there a time to not tell the truth?
Yes. You know,
Give me one.
I do the program, Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous, and they tell you when to tell the truth and when not to tell the truth. You don't expose the truth to everybody. They teach you to go to God and find another person that you can really, really trust, and go to that person and admit it to yourself. Because if you're going to hurt somebody or harm somebody else, you don't need to go to that. If I slept with somebody's wife, and I don't need to go to that man, if I slept with that lady 10 years ago or 5 years, I don't need to go to that man and tell that man I slept with your wife.
Well, that's what I said about
What
time.
good is that going to do?
And what
it's going to cause more problems between the relationship.
And you're right, Dwayne, but what I'm talking more about is when you are emotionally attached or connected to someone who's expecting certain things from you. That's what I'm talking about. You know, I'm talking about people who are depending on some exchange or something going on between the two.
Well,
that's when the truth is very vital.
But what if it's halfway, if you're halfway there, you're not emotionally attached to them, but they are emotionally attached to you?
Well, see, but then that's communication right there. You see, you should be talking about that. Well, you know, if somebody's bringing something to you that you're not ready for, you just sit down and say, you know what, we need to talk about this because that's a little ahead of me. That's further than I want to be right now. That's communication. You see what I'm trying to say? You can stop that right there. Yeah, Booker.
But me, myself, when I'm in a relationship, you don't have to tell me, actually speak loud and word. I see this myself, so you don't have to tell me nothing. It's the way you act and what you do.
And I agree with you. If a person in your life,
I know, you know, when you don't, this and that, and I want you to go. You know, I speak loud and word, and I stay, you know, have a couple of a person.
and you're right. You know what?
You can tell from their behavior.
You're right. And I agree with you.
And you, how you put your mind, I'll be happy when you go. This and that, and you content when you out of here.
Because because you, everybody has a tolerance level.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a tolerance level, you know, of how much they can do, you know. And guess what? If you see that change, and I tell people, I had a client one time who said, my husband, when we first got married, we were doing all right, but then he started working harder, and he stayed at the office more. And I said, you talk to him about that? No, I just know he's trying to make money. Well, he wasn't. He was having an affair. You know what I'm trying to say? But then still, I said, honey, and I'm going to say this to anybody I talk to, when the change takes place in your relationship that's not common, that's time for communication.
Yeah.
That's time. I don't care if he's coming home 15 minutes late than what he was.
That's right.
What held you up tonight? What happened? They may think you're being pushy, but that's knowledge you need to work with. That's knowledge you need to work with. It ain't about, when you start seeing changes go on in something that you're involved in, then questions should pop into in your mind. You shouldn't be sitting silent saying, well, that's going to go back the way it was, or things, that ain't really nothing.
Because you get tortured yourself.
You know what I'm saying? Now, look at some words here. I think vocabulary has a lot to do with truth and how things are felt and expressed. You know, if you are a person with high self-esteem, you stay away from the negative.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mom.
Please, Jack.
Go ahead.
Like, sometimes it's, you know, like, it depends on who you're telling the truth to. Because some people, in their mind, they're not going to accept that. And it's best for you, I think, but I will be truthful with myself. And, you know, because you can't be truthful to a lot of people.
Right. And I'll give you an example of what you're talking about. A client, a young man came to me when I was working at 8 Atlanta. He was 16 years old, and he just found out he was HIV positive, you know, and he's staying with his family. And the first thing he said to me was, should I go back and tell my family that I'm HIV positive? I said, first of all, you got to sit down and assess your family. You know your mom and dad. Now, you know if they're going to put you out the house.
Right.
They're going to start acting like holy rollers and tell you, you know, you got to go to the altar every day. I mean, whatever the case may be, you know your family, and you know whether or not they can take that. If they cannot deal with you coming to them saying that I'm HIV positive and you're going to get pregnant, then you hold off till you can take care of yourself, have your own apartment. That's when you withhold stuff. When you know it's going to be detrimental to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When it's detrimental to you.
That's being
Ain't no, I mean, that's called common sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know your mama gonna put you out the house because you come back and told you you HIV positive, or you told her you were gay. Some things you just hold it. It ain't your mama ain't gonna live or die by you telling her you HIV positive, or if you gay, or whatever. That's not something she needs to know to live. Get out of her house, establish yourself, get your own place, and you can tell the whole world whatever you want to tell. But if you got your own place to go back to, you're not homeless. You follow what I'm saying? So there are times when you have to be smart and use common sense. That's all that's about. But a person with high self-esteem ain't even leaning toward the negative side. You don't say, I can't. You say, I won't. Think about that.
Okay.
No, maybe not now.
You know, see, I won't means it ain't going to happen. I can't leaves room for possibility. See, I can't. Well, when can you? I won't close it right down.
Yeah.
You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So don't even think about that. Don't say, will you help me do this? Well, I really can. That's still fuzzy.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it. And then it shuts it right down. Also,
What really shut it down when you say, I would never do that.
Oh, you
When
will.
you use the word never, you block the sunlight of God from coming in.
Yeah, want and never, almost like synonymous,
There's
you
no
know?
chance of the sunlight coming in because you already done put up a shield.
And then the next word, I should. What do you think is more powerful than I should?
I will.
Or I could.
I can't.
I could, but I won't.
No, but see, we go back to the negative. And see, we don't want to go to the negative. We want you to be strong and solid in what you say.
You don't think that's probably not?
No, you don't want to say it in a negative way.
Right.
Okay? I should means what? Well, I'm not really sure.
You iffy about it, but I'm not.
I could.
But I'm not.
Also, it's not my fault. What's more powerful?
When you're blaming people, you can, I mean,
Just take ownership.
yeah, you need to take ownership.
Just take ownership.
What good is
It's
it
not
to
my
blame
problem.
somebody?
It's not my responsibility. See, you gotta stop leaving them. It's called open-ended, situations where somebody can come right in and take you and say, well, you said you can't, but will you?
Change.
I won't. And it shuts it down. Go ahead, JP.
Well, two public things that came up recently is, of course, our president, all the things they're blaming on him. But then the most recent one was with Paul Harvey. Is it Paul? Steve Harvey.
Steve
Oh,
Harvey.
There's a Paul Harvey.
Steve Harvey.
Oh, the Miss
Yeah,
Universe.
with the Miss Universe, right.
Oh,
And when he came back out on the stage, it was like he had lost his puppy or something. You know, the way he walked out there, and then he said that he made a mistake. But then since then, he's had them on his show, and he's been doing, and people have been asking some outright blatant questions like, what was on your mind? And he said that, and I guess the thing that surprised me is that why didn't the people shut it down or say something? No one said
Well,
anything.
because that has never happened before. Just like when 9/11 happened and the president was sitting in the classroom, you know, and they came and said, well, they just ran into the the towers in New York. If you go back and look at that tape, the president, when they told him that, he was sitting there like, with these kids in the classroom,
Waiting to get some advice.
he didn't know how to react. He just didn't know how to react.
Well,
You know?
see, Harvey thought it was right because usually when you think the first runner-up is the one that wins,
Right.
but the first one is not the one.
Exactly.
It's the next
Yeah,
one.
exactly.
So he
But-
gotta live
and-
with
But he was, but you know what?
ownership.
You know what catapulted him to the next level was? He said, "It's my fault."
Right. He took
He
ownership.
didn't say, "Well, it was the monitor, it was the card, I had my glasses on." He said, "It was my fault,"
Right.
and whatever took place in that process, he took ownership of it.
Yeah, but look at the difference now with people who didn't take that blame. Bill Clinton, remember he came out and said, I did not have sex with that woman, and people stayed on him because she had the dress. And then he came back later and said, I did have sex with that woman.
What he actually said was,
He admitted
had oral
it.
sex.
he said I had sexual relations.
Right, but still,
Relations
either way, he admitted that something had happened, and when he did that, then people kind of left it alone. They haven't forgot it. And then again, even locally here, you know, there are some
But
ministers
he
who
didn't tell a lie. He didn't tell a lie. He said I didn't have sex relation. He didn't say I didn't have sex with her.
But the whole point is see the difference between someone admitting it
Taking
and not
ownership.
admitting it.
Yeah.
Taking ownership. And that's called truth. That goes back to truth again.
Exactly what.
If you got this on you, what else you was doing?
Got what? You better detect that, boo.
Oh, you're talking about the dress, right? Well, you know,
She know what she was doing.
yeah. Well, see, when you go into a situation expecting something, or how you say you sort of try to push it towards your favor. She was getting with the president for the wrong reason. She was getting in there for a power play. You don't keep a dress 10 years with stains on it for 10, unless you want some ammunition if things don't go the way you want it to go.
And we don't know.
She for some reason she felt that Hillary Clinton would leave her husband once this came out.
It was a lie.
But it didn't happen that way. So what did she do? She go get her artillery. Well, I got a dress to show that he did do this. But Hillary said, guess what? We all have indiscretions.
Yeah, we do.
And when you take that vow, it says for what? Better or for worse. Now, you took the vow. You didn't have to take that vow. You could have wrote your own vows. But you took a vow and said for better or for worse. That means you're going to sit down and work through it and come up with a solution.
I didn't know she kept the dress that long.
The dress named itself.
So self-esteem. And I'm going to let you guys work with it. Self-esteem. Every day you come in here, this is going to be this sheet on the table. It's called a self-esteem journal. Okay, I'm going to pass one of these around each one of y'all. And look at this. And every day you can tell yourself some things about you. Let's pass these around. And look at that.
Just put them all together. Take one and pass.
Oh.
Sometimes we need a motivator to help lift us up. Something we can look at that gives us a conscious understanding. Here you go right there. This guy don't want to do that to Kai.
No, we got it.
You got it? Okay. Everybody got one? Look at what it says, first thing on Monday.
Something I did today.
And you can just, before you leave out your house, just jot something down. Today I had fun when. I felt proud when. See, these things raise your self-esteem. If you can go home after a day and say, this is what I did today for me. This is all about you right now. And what you did for somebody else is what you did to keep yourself lifted up.
Okay.
You know what I'm trying to say? And so now when you leave the house, the first thing you're going to think about, what is it today that I can do to keep me on track to do what I start out to do? Because I told you before, if you don't have a plan, then why are you walking outside your house? If you don't have a plan, where are you going when you walk outside your house? If you don't have some direction, where are you going?
You gotta have A, B, C, and D.
You know, y'all leave your house to come to common ground because you know that's what y'all coming. You're coming down. But if you weren't coming to common ground, why would you walk outside your house just to be in the wilderness?
I would.
And I call it the wilderness because it's a lot of stuff going on in that wilderness and they got nothing to do with you that you get caught up in. And then the next thing you know, I wish I'd stayed home today.
Exactly.
I wish I'd stayed home today. So until you got a plan of what you're going to do this day, and you should have that before you walk outside the door, stay there and make a plan. Tomorrow, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to stop until it's done. You know, I'm going to go look for a job. I'm going to go register for school. I'm going to go see my case manager. I'm going to do whatever I got to do. But know that that's what you got to do. And when you do it, go back to your house. You know why people get in trouble? Because they linger. They linger. And people see you lingering. And what do?
Approach you.
Misery loves what? If they ain't got nothing to do, they don't want you to have nothing to do.
They don't. They really don't.
They don't pray.
You know me, I'm always wanting us to be mindful of outreach, others, doing right and good. So I want to give each one of us the responsibility of copying this sheet and choose a child, somebody else's child, neighbor next door, somebody across the street, whoever, and share this sheet with them and give it to them so they can make their lives better. And they'll pass it on to somebody else. They'll pass it on to somebody else.
I didn't write on the sheet.
Well, no, but there are going to be many more. They're going to be on the table up here every day, just like
my boys.
Yeah. And you know, and you know, you do. You know, share it. We don't come to common ground and keep stuff to ourselves. We come in so we can share with people. You know, it's like, now that I'm in my doctoral program, I like to go around people and talk about the stuff I'm learning about public administration and all that kind of stuff and how organizations work. I mean, that kind of stuff just really turns me on. And so I'm around people who work in those kind of businesses. And I talk to them. Hello, young lady.
Hello, how are you?
Hi. And you know, and so we share this stuff, and you'd be surprised at the camaraderie that develops from you sharing something about your interest.
James, they say you can't keep what you have by giving it away. You know what that means, don't you?
Right.
Yeah, so if you help somebody, give something to somebody, God's going to give back. You can't be God giving.
And can't
so
we
don't worry about giving. Just give. Just give.
And can't that be part of your 10%?
Or whatever, yeah.
Can't that be your 10%
Yeah.
of giving something back?
Hey.
I mean, I don't want you giving 50%. Give your 10%.
Yeah.
Because see, you got to have that other 90% to work on you. And I tell you that all the time. You know, pastor will, you know, my pastor said to me one time, can't you live on 90% of your income? I said, yeah, well, as long as I know where that 10% is going.
Okay.
If it's going for the good of mankind, or if it's going for the, I can do that. But if it's just going out there into the wind or cyberspace, no, I can't do that. Because I have to know that what I do has to be directed for the greater good. For the greater good. You see, I'm not putting 10% in for you to ride around in a Mercedes. I'm not putting 10% in for you to have a flat screen TV on your wall. I'm talking about the greater good of mankind. And that's how you raise self-esteem. You know, when you see your accomplishments pay off, don't you feel good?
Yeah.
You know, when I go up to Spalding over here down in Grady Hospital, and I'm holding those babies, those crack babies and those AIDS babies and all that, you know, the nurses walk by and say, you know what, you make me feel good just seeing you do that. You don't know how people are affected by your goodness. And it might trigger something in them to say, you know what, I need to get on the bandwagon too. I really need to get out here and start doing something so I can start feeling good about who I am. You know how to take care of you, but try helping somebody else sometime. We say, Roger?
I wish I could just keyhole me on.
Oh. That may make you feel good, Roger.
It will. It will.
It would empower me. And sometimes self-esteem is not about self, it's about helping others too. Go ahead.
See, one thing why I went for old school, older people, these people that go to college and all this and that, they caught me basically with my own basic saying, common sense. You gotta have a positive attitude about life, period. You gotta have positive, nothing gonna be perfect for you, but you gotta have that positive attitude. As long as you look at negative stuff, you're gonna see negative coming. Keep a positive, because life is what it is. People die every day, born every day, so what is the world about anything? Let no one tell you, I always tell you, say everything gonna be all right. Don't matter what, when you go to the White House next and that, everything gonna be all right. Don't feed into it. You gonna eat.
You know what?
They eat, you gonna eat. Don't worry about none of that.
There's only one song.
That's all that works. That's gonna make everything.
There's only one song in my lifetime that I've heard that has inspired me more than any other song I will ever hear.
Which one is that?
Michael Jackson's song, it starts with who?
Man in the mirror.
In the mirror,
Yeah.
The man in the mirror. If no other song is ever made, that tells a story right there.
Yeah.
It tells a story. I have to look at myself in that mirror and say, I like you. I like that person in that mirror. And I'm not combing my hair, I'm not brushing but I'm looking at me for who I really am.
Right.
Before I put clothes on, and I'm looking at me. And I'm saying, you know what? Today, you're going to be the best person you can be. I like you. But, you know, I've noticed even some of my family members, when they go in the bathroom, their head is down. They're not looking at themselves. They avoid mirrors altogether.
Wow.
They never sit there and look straight at themselves. And that's telling you something about you. I'm struggling with myself. I got some issues with me that I'm not ready, I can't deal with. You have to look straight in that mirror and say, you know what? I'm going to deal with you today, and we're going to have a great time because we're going to get it in order. Try that. Tomorrow, I keep telling you this every year, stand in that mirror for 5 minutes and just look at you. Don't say nothing. Don't do nothing. But just look back. See, because what's on the other side of the mirror is looking back at you too. Mm-hmm. So you say, just look at you in the mirror. And then after 5 minutes say, you know what? I love you, I appreciate you, and I thank God for you.
Okay.
And see if you can say that. And I mean heartfelt. If you can really say that and mean it. I love what I'm looking at. I appreciate what I'm looking at. And I thank God for my existence. If you can look at yourself and say that every day, then you're on the right track. Self-esteem going to be way up here. And when you walk outside your door, if it ain't for you, it ain't going to happen. And stop entertaining everybody's conversation.
That's right, that's foolishness.
That's not bad.
Everybody's conversation ain't for you to get into.
That's right, that's foolishness.
You know, you hear something, and you got to jump right in and give your point of view. That ain't for you. You know what I'm trying to say? We are listening to other people's stuff, trying to have some kind of credibility to it. You got to stop that.
Concentrate on me.
Right.
Wait for the invitation and stop, you know, and stop jumping in on stuff. And I see a lot of that because we do that, don't we? We do that.
We do that as a people.
We hear stuff and we want to jump in there and give our point of view.
Then some people will say that's rude.
It is. Or they say it ain't none of your business.
And you don't care. And you don't care.
But when we put it out there, it's
I know somebody right now who got ears that can hear what's going on back there right now. They probably know what's going on in that hallway out there. I ain't mention no name. But they probably know what's going on in that hallway because they always listen to somebody else's stuff. And the next thing you know, they talking about it. They don't know the essence of what it's all about.
That's right.
Stop that.
That's
I'm telling you.
Melanie, you need to work on you, boo.
That's me too.
We all do it.
We need to get her a mirror.
You know what? I'm talking to my mother on the telephone, and my sister in the background talking, and then I jump into the conversation she having. Ain't even talking to my mom no more, because I done heard what Alicia done said, and I'm gonna say, but what you talking about? Didn't Alicia just say that in the background? She said, but you talking to me.
you all on the other side of your phone.
I'm ready to drive to North Carolina. So sometimes we need to do what now, guys? We have to know when to speak and
When to shut up.
when to speak.
when to speak.
Shut up.
Just be quiet.
Okay.
Just be quiet sometimes.
They said all the same time, you ain't got nothing nice to say.
Don't say nothing at all.
You know, because guess what? We can live without your criticism. We can live without your negativity. We can really live without your opinion. Your opinion does not grow me.
What was the saying in 2 on 4 when she said in the movie 2 on 4 when she said she was Patrick Swayze was going to see his parents and he said my authority is I don't need your approval is not required. Yeah, I mean it's
Your approval is not required.
Yeah.
But you know, I know a young man who's he's a young man. He's 47 years old, and he came out in a conference session and told me that he was gay. He said he would never, ever tell his family members or let them know that because he said, at 47 now, got his own house, got his own dog, got his own car. I mean, the man is living good, but he said, if I tell my parents, I'd have to shoot myself.
Dwayne, you.
No.
Shoot somebody else.
No, the reason I say, and what he's saying is, I don't like myself enough to tell the truth. You think about that.
And that, I mean, that's kind of sad that you, all these years you held that in, and then you finally get
independent of your
a little. You got your toe in the water, but you ain't submerged yourself all the way in there.
Yeah, and, you know, and so his family don't even know who he is. You know, and you go to his house, he's got all these pictures of these girls that and they're his friends, but his parents think they're his girlfriends. Right. And you go to his house, and I look at this stuff, and I go like,
facade.
Now, man. What is all this?
Where they go, where they drag.
His like girl. And you know what? So my uncle called him because my uncle lives in Durham, and he lives in Raleigh, which is like going from here to Conyers. And he said, "Come on, let's go out." He said, "Oh, I ain't going out because my family might be out there. If they see me with another man, they might think something." I said, "You're 47 years old."
Girl, they already know.
Well, they know.
But the fact is, whether they know or not, he's still locked in his prison.
Yeah, you're hindering yourself.
And he doesn't feel good about himself. He doesn't like himself. He doesn't, you know. And then he said to me, he said, "I wish I wasn't this way so I could talk to my family." Well, you are this way, and wishing it is not going to take it away.
Or embrace who you are.
But why carry that around, being upset, angry, frustrated with yourself, when it doesn't need to be that way?
That's right.
You know what, James? You don't have to carry that around because mom got something in her closet, dad got something in his closet, sister, aunt.
And that's what I'm saying.
Why do you need to put your stuff, hide your stuff with everybody else?
And you know, my mother said to me, and she just said this recently, my mother's 81 years old, and she's dating a 69-year-old man.
All right, then.
And you know what she said to me? You know what she said to me? She said, "Don't you ever question what I do, because I don't question what you do."
That's right. All right.
I know that.
She said, "You live your life, I live my life." And she said, "Now, if you were a child, I give you some direction. But you're not a child anymore. You're a grown man. So if you bring something to me, I'm going to respect it. I don't have to accept it, but I'm going to respect it."
Right. That's it.
You know? And so that's the thing I'm talking about, truth. Truth. My mother is 81, and she said, and if she don't know truth by now, I would feel sorry for her. But she says, all you can do for me right now is love me and appreciate my existence.
That's right. That's right.
Appreciate that I'm still here at 81.
Hey.
You know? So these kind of things don't. And another girl came to me over here on Memorial Drive, and you know what she said? She said, my boyfriend and I broke up because he was uncomfortable. I knew he was bisexual, but he didn't want to tell me. And he got so frustrated because I told him, I said, "Honey, if you're bisexual, I'm okay with that." But he couldn't be honest with her. He would still sneak out and go see you know.
When you've been living that long.
And she said, "You know what? The problem I have is this, that you feel you got to sneak and do what you do. When I'm opening up the door and saying we can talk about this and have a wonderful
Get your boyfriend on the side.
The truth is what we're talking about. Self-esteem, way up here.
Exactly.
And there are many women out there who would have a relationship with a man as long as they were honest and straightforward.
There ain't nothing wrong with it.
You see what I'm saying? Now, people came in here the other day, and I wish she was here. I wish she was here. I wish she was here so she could hear this. I'll repeat this again when she's here. People said, Carla said, people always talking about Tim is gay. I said, well, what does that got what people say? Well, I said, Carla, you and Tim have a relationship. I said, you and Tim have a relationship Whatever your relationship is, if it works for y'all, that's fine.
Right.
Avoid what people say. Don't worry about this.
Right.
If it works for you, it works for you.
Right.
That's when we need to do what?
Shut up.
What?
Shut up and leave folk alone.
Yeah.
Shut up.
See, we want folk to be like us, and us ain't always in order.
Well, you know what? Speaking on that conversation,
We want our millions around.
speaking on that conversation, I asked, I said, which one of y'all the man?
Wait a minute.
And you are right, Lord. You are right. But not one. That was my issue. You are right. So if it ain't mine, don't even entertain what's mine. No,
I guess but when it comes back to what we all talk about, is honesty. You can't have high self-esteem. You can't have a high self-esteem if you're not being honest.
You can't.
You just can't. Because you know when you're not being honest. You know, I sat in a courtroom on Tuesday with a friend of ours. The young lady he's taking to court took his money, $5,000. He gave her $5,000 to help her start a business. When the business got up and running,
Did she invested?
she didn't want to give this $5,000.
What? Oh, no, did he have any right?
Guess what? So he took it to court. We get to court, and you know what the hard part is? When you know somebody is lying, and they know you know they're lying.
Right. And you can't.
That's the hard part. And the judge, all she can do is sit there and listen to what y'all saying, trying to make sense out of who's telling the truth. But you know, and they know, there's a lie going on. And she sat there and she said that where she works was her address. She lives in Douglasville. She said her business is in Atlanta and one is in Fairburn. She said she lives in her business. She said that she doesn't have a bank account. She said she has no checking account. She stood there in that courtroom, and I sat there and if I had been...
If I subpoena your records, I'm going to pour everything.
No, that was done because the accountant was there and the people she does business with. But guess what she done? When they got their subpoena, they called her. And she gave them a little skit to say. So when the lady walks up, the accountant walks up, the first thing she said was, "Oh, I haven't seen her since November." She didn't say she didn't do business with her.
Okay.
She said, "I hadn't seen her since November." And the judge said, "Well, do you do business with her?" She said, "Oh, she does business with somebody else in my office." And we don't even know who that is. And the judge can't make up that man. All you got to do is go try. See, what I'm saying is, she knew she was lying. He knew she was lying.
But she ran that same scheme forever.
She's been running this since last year.
Exactly.
But the judge sit there and said, "If I find out that you have perjured yourself in my court,
all I'm going to jail."
And all I could say was, it's a hard, and you know, when you know somebody lying and you're sitting there holding that in, I felt so sorry for our friend.
Yeah.
Because I sat there and I looked at, and he didn't make a word. He didn't even say a word in court because he knew she was lying. And how do you how it happened?
Why you didn't put nothing black and white?
Okay.
Why
would you not do a contract?
Okay, because you know what the mistake was? He'd been knowing this young girl since she was in high school. Now listen what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. He knew the girl since she was in high school. She's 47 years old now. Her mama was running the business. This girl just took over the business because her mama got old. And so there was no big deal.
Right.
You know, it's like you and your brother sitting down saying, "Let's put a plan together." And then you give him some money, and then he take it and disappear.
But before you even got out the door, we didn't have the signature date right there.
You know that now.
No, I knew that back then.
You know what I'm saying? We know that now.
I mean,
but come on now. How many times in your life have you done something to somebody for them to come back and disappoint you?
Exactly.
We gotta get it up.
After that first, I mean, it's 2016. After that first time, ain't no second.
We all have been disappointed by somebody after we've done something for them.
Especially those that are closest to you.
Because I know as a kid, in black and white, you
But see, at the time, but you know what? At the time, $5,000 for this person was like, that wasn't a lot of money.
Right.
It wasn't about the money.
Right.
It's about what she did.
Right.
It's what she did.
Say it again, bro.
Because the man, Roger will tell you, the man, he gonna live well.
Right.
He gonna live well. But it was what she did to him.
He better hope he don't
That
see
trust, that
road.
honesty.
He might run out of
Right.
I mean, I've known you since you were 16, now you're 47, and you gonna do me like this?
Her days
Oh,
are numbered.
shit, it'll come back.
Her days numbered.
Well, you know, she's got a store right there on Cascade.
She better have good insurance on
You
her.
know where Cascade and Abernathy come together right there?
Yeah.
Her store's right there. And I said, you know what? Truth be told,
Flames.
she better hope don't nobody do nothing to her.
Flames.
What you talking about?
Yeah, 'cause that area right there, right from the Kroger.
It's the bakery.
The bakery.
It's a bakery right there. It's Heavenly Bake. It's called Heavenly Bake.
She'll get something somewhere come back to
But
her.
back to what we said. So how do you think, now this woman ain't got no self-esteem at all. Because my question is, how do you lay down at night and sleep when you know you deceived somebody?
She ain't got no nerves.
Misled
She
somebody?
don't have no conscience.
She ain't got no nerves.
People can kill a person and go to sleep.
But you know what, let me say this to y'all. The key is, just because you claim you're a Christian,
Don't mean you
doesn't
are.
mean that your heart is a Christian.
Right.
Well,
And some of y'all remember when Fred would come, or even Sandy Rogers, and talk about the mask that we wear.
She been
The
wearing
mask
all
that we
years.
wear. You know, some of us are wearing 10 masks. Because we different around 10 different people. Some of us, I mean seriously, very few people show who they truly are. Because we want something from somebody else. When we go for a job interview, we got a certain mask on. But we would never invite our boss home because he would see the real me. You see what I'm trying to say? We wear masks according to the situation. And you know, I say to myself, if I can't get it on truth and honesty and just me, I don't deserve it and I don't need it.
But then with society, you got to play the game with them.
Well, the game is if you want to be in the game.
I mean, you have to understand.
But see, that's why
you cannot say straight things you have been and say in America by negative by God. You ain't gonna get no business.
Okay, well, yeah. But what I'm saying is, if you want that. But see, there are ways of getting around all that if you want your own.
just don't say
You
that.
can't get around that. Yeah, you can't get around that. In America, if you end up got a business thing going on with $1,000, you must love a dog and you must love God. You should be true to say, no, I'm not religious, I'm not this and that by saying.
But when you go for it, first of all, you got a case right there, because guess what? You got a case right there. Because ain't nobody supposed to ask you no job interview if you like God.
How about your religion?
You don't like God's a God.
God.
A dog.
No, you said God.
A pet, an animal.
He said a dog.
An animal.
Dog and cat.
I get what you're saying.
You got love God, dog and cat and God. If not in America, you're not gonna make God play the game in America, period.
Let me tell you.
You talking about white America or just America?
In America, right in there, period. You gonna have to play.
What he's saying.
I cannot have no type of business and say I'm not religious, do that. I'm gonna be saying like you did with dog the president by saying what religion he was. He had to let them people go. President Obama. He had to let them go because they were saying, he said negative, preacher said negative things, that. He had to go to another church.
Yeah, he did.
Because society would make you do it. They made him do it.
Well, let me
He didn't stand his ground and
say
say,
this.
I want to be here doing that. Otherwise, they're going to keep on after him until he changes that.
Somebody's going to like what you say.
I know, but he had to change.
Somebody's going to. And I say that because guess
But he
what?
had to change the church.
Listen to this, guys. Listen to
this.
this. Listen to this.
The president.
For the last 5 years, we've been over at this church, right? We've been over at this church, right?
Right.
And ain't nobody had to pay no bills.
Praise the Lord.
Ain't we still eat every time we
God
come
is
here?
wonderful.
You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
The pastor, whatever you want, we got it.
Right.
What I'm saying is, sometimes you can do what you want to do. It's just you're going to make some sacrifices to have it.
But then I saw when they broke it, they broke the professor came from out of town. He at the end broke his own home, and then the president said,
oh, the
he
guy in
was stupid.
Massachusetts.
They made him change that by saying stupid. He had to sit on the white lawn, show me any of them. He had to sit on the white lawn and drink beer with them folks.
But guess what? But look at what we're talking about right here. If you want to be a public official,
you're going to be scrutinized. You're going to be scrutinized.
You know to get up in it.
Look at Kasim Reed.
We don't
know what that man is really like. All we see is his actions.
Yeah.
All we see is his actions.
You got to do
And his
it.
mannerisms.
When Kasim Reed might go home every night and be depressed because he tore that church down over there.
I don't think I'm different.
I know, we don't know that. We can assume that.
That man got money coming.
No. But see, how many soap operas have you watched where people got money and they're depressed?
He might be going through that
Right,
truth.
right.
But you don't give what they want him to do, though.
Listen what I'm saying, Booker. Sometimes we think the goal is to have money and rich. But when we get it, guess what? We got to figure out how to